Welcome back. The final witness in the Lindsay Clancy trial wrapped up testimony this afternoon. The jury was told to come back tomorrow in the morning for closing arguments. Clancy, of course, is charged with murdering her 3 children. They were ages 5, 3, and 8 months at the time of their deaths 3 years ago. Prosecutors say she acted intentionally and rationally, but her lawyers say she was actually suffering from postpartum psychosis and that she tried to get help many, many times. Criminal defense attorney Josh Ritter is with us, and correspondent Molly Line kicks us off live at that courthouse. Molly, let's begin with you.
Yeah. Well, Jillian, the prosecution has rested now, and right now the judge, the lawyers are getting together for this charging conference. It's essentially a period of time where they're going to haggle over the jury instructions, and then, as you mentioned, those closing arguments get underway tomorrow. So this case will be with the jury, we expect, by late afternoon tomorrow, potentially on Friday. They'll begin their very difficult work. Prosecutors maintain that Lindsay Clancy murdered her 3 children, driving that point home with a final witness today, Dr. Gregory Sathoff, a forensic psychologist with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. He returned to the stand. He acknowledged that he interviewed Clancy via Zoom earlier this year and reviewed extensive medical records. And he testified that based on his medical assessment, Clancy understood right from wrong when she killed the kids.
Doctor, did you form an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether Lindsay Clancy on January 24th, 2023, when she strangled her children, was criminally responsible?
Yes.
And what is that opinion?
Yes. It is my opinion within a reasonable degree of medical certainty that Ms. Clancy was criminally responsible.
The defense says the Massachusetts mother was not criminally responsible when she killed her 3 children in January of 2023 and then attempted suicide, that she was misdiagnosed, over-medicated, and suffering from postpartum psychosis. Reddington questioned Dr. Gregory Sathoff's qualifications.
Now, in all of your experience, sir, have you ever treated a woman suffering from postpartum psychosis?
Yes.
When?
In the late 1980s and also during the 1990s.
The defense claims Clancy was obeying a male voice, suddenly commanding murder and suicide after Clancy had sent her then-husband out to run errands. But prosecutors say Clancy acted swiftly, with pre-planning, methodically committing the murders. After weeks of testimony, evidence, dueling experts, the question of criminal responsibility will soon go to this jury, possibly in deliberations as soon as tomorrow afternoon. Jillian?
All right, Molly Line in Plymouth for us this afternoon. Thank you. Meanwhile, live at the courthouse in Plymouth, Mass, as well as Josh Ritter, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and Fox News contributor. Josh, a big day with with the trial wrapping up. There are 2 sort of stark paths forward here in the wake of Lindsay Clancy's verdict. Where do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, you have an incredibly rare diagnosis. That's one thing that all the experts agree upon, that postpartum depression, while it might be something that many women experience, postpartum psychosis is incredibly rare. So you've got these experts who are testifying on an already rare diagnosis that some of them had never even seen in their careers, giving diametrically opposed opinions as to how that should affect whether or not Lindsay Clancy understood the wrongfulness of her actions. And then thrown into the middle of that are these jurors who are going to have to decide this question on, given this incredibly rare diagnosis, who do they believe? Which of these experts are more reasonable for them? It's an incredibly unenviable position that they are being put in. I will say one thing, though, to keep in mind, unique here to the state of Massachusetts, is the burden. The burden remains on the prosecution in this case. In most jurisdictions, when you bring an affirmative defense like insanity, it shifts the burden to the defense. In the state of Massachusetts, it remains with the prosecution to essentially prove a negative, prove that she was not insane at the time that she committed these crimes. That might end up being the difference maker in this case.
When the juries consider the verdict, right, they know that if they convict her of murder in the first degree, she faces, life in prison, potentially without any chance for parole. If she's not, then she faces an unclear amount of time spent in a psychiatric hold facility, potential for years, if not decades. how does that factor into their decision?
Well, they're actually going to be instructed not to consider that. The actual sentence that she receives is not something for their consideration. The prosecutors are well aware of it. We're all well aware of it. There is the understanding that if she were found not guilty by reason of insanity, she would be not sentenced but handed over to a civil court for a civil commitment, which could be, as you pointed out, any length of time. It could be the rest of her life. It could be decades, or it could be a few years. It all depends on her mental health and whether or not she poses a risk to herself or others at that time. It's no longer a criminal question because she would not be a convicted felon. It would only be a question about a sick person, whether or not she's dangerous. But the jurors are not going to be given that information, and they're not supposed to consider that in making their decision, only
Josh,
whether or not they feel
these jurors have,
at that time.
Sorry to interrupt you. These jurors have internet access. They can find this out. How can they, possibly pretend that that's not there? In this case, it seems like that is the sort of smoldering core of everything here, this woman's fate.
You're right. It's a question that I imagine many of them wonder. They've been instructed by the judge, please don't consider the media. Please don't consider outside information. Outside information would include where she would end up if they found her not guilty by reason of insanity. Everybody I talk to, though, and see online, they feel like whatever is appropriate, it should involve this woman receiving treatment for the rest of her life. Problem is that is not on the table. If she goes off to a mental institution, there is no sentence that she would receive to remain there for the rest of her life. So, yes, many people have an idea of what they feel would be the appropriate conclusion to all of this. The jurors might as well. I think that's an appropriate question to ask, but they should not be doing research on it.
And real quick before I let you go, Josh, she could, this is a question, she could receive prolonged mental health treatment in prison if she does get convicted, right?
Oh, not only could she will. I mean, she will not be going to some regular general population holding in a prison. Given only her physical disability, she'll likely be in some sort of hospital ward in a women's prison, which will include psychiatric care.
Okay. All right. Josh, thank you for breaking it down with us. Thanks for being out there at the courthouse. Great to talk to you as always.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.